Beneath the vaulted canopy of the Amazon rainforest, where the midday sun fractures into a mosaic of shadow and green light, something watches. The forest here is alive in every direction. Roots twist like serpents through the soil, branches clack in the breath of windless heat, and insects fill the air with a restless chorus of life. But among this vivid tapestry, some movements are too deliberate, too smooth. Near the darkened edge of a muddy riverbank, a rustle in the underbrush is barely audible. Leaves do not shake. Birds do not scatter. There is only stillness, and within it, the jaguar moves. Panthera onca, the jaguar, does not announce itself with growls or snarls. Unlike its African cousin, the lion, or the agile leopard of Asia, the jaguar is a ghost, a muscular whisper stitched into the fabric of the jungle. It stalks with shoulders held low, paws rolling silently over root and rot, perfectly balanced and impossibly quiet for its size. An adult male can weigh over 200 pounds, but in the thickets of the Amazon, its steps are lighter than the wind. The broad, rosette-spotted body slips between tree trunks and vines as though the forest had opened a path for it alone. This is no chase animal. It is a master of the ambush, a predator sculpted by millions of years of patience and precision. The jaguar's preferred hunting grounds are varied: dense forest, riverbanks, and the tangled swamp edges that other large cats might avoid. It is a creature born not just for survival, but for domination in one of Earth's most biologically competitive ecosystems. Its skull is robust, its jaw muscles thick and adapted for crushing power. Unlike other big cats that suffocate prey with a grip on the throat, the jaguar often ends the hunt with a bite straight through the skull, piercing bone and brain in a single, devastating clamp. The strike is as much execution as it is feeding, a methodical and almost surgical finality. Humans rarely see it coming, and when they do, it's often too late. In the rare instances where jaguars have attacked people, often in isolated jungle settlements or during deep forest treks, the attacks were not preceded by roars or warnings. There is no cinematic chase, no desperate sprint through vines. Instead, there is an unspoken shift in the jungle's mood. Birds go quiet. Insects pause. Something is wrong, and then the shadow leaps. These encounters, while uncommon, underscore the jaguar's territorial nature. Though mostly solitary, jaguars maintain wide ranges and will patrol them regularly, marking with scent and scraping bark with powerful claws. During mating season or in times of food scarcity, they become more defensive, more reactive to encroachment. A human unknowingly walking into such a space might trigger a confrontation not born from hunger, but from primal assertion. The jaguar does not need to be provoked in the human sense. Just being in the wrong place at the wrong time is enough. At night, the rainforest transforms, and so does the jaguar. Its eyes, adapted for low light, shine silver in the moonlight as it prowls silently through the leaf litter. The jungle is no less alive, but its sounds take on a different tone, less musical, more mechanical. Frogs click like gears, bats flutter overhead like loose paper. In this nocturnal stage, the jaguar reigns supreme. It is during these hours that the risks to humans quietly multiply. A hiker setting up camp near a stream, unaware of territorial boundaries or signs of nearby kills, may find themselves not alone. A camera trap might capture only a blur, a ripple of spots against the background, followed by the red glint of eyes that blink and vanish. Its diet speaks to its adaptability and boldness. While capybaras, peccaries, and caimans are common prey, jaguars have been known to take down anacondas and even turtles, their jaws powerful enough to crack through shell. The cat has an uncanny ability to shift its hunting methods to suit different prey, stalking silently through reeds one day, swimming with sinuous grace the next. Yes, jaguars swim, and not reluctantly. In fact, they may actively pursue prey into water, using their mass and momentum to submerge animals mid-struggle. In a rainforest where land and water intertwine constantly, this amphibious prowess gives them another edge. There are no safe zones for prey, not in trees, not on land, not in water. To a human, this versatility means danger from any direction. The idea of escaping by climbing a tree is no guarantee of safety. Jaguars are capable climbers, particularly the younger, more agile individuals. Fleeing into a river could be a worse decision. In deep jungle regions where visibility is minimal and escape paths are tangled, panic often serves only to increase the risk. One misstep, one misjudged direction, and a human may find themselves even deeper within a jaguar's hunting ground. Perhaps the most disquieting truth about jaguars is not their power or aggression, but their intelligence. Observations of wild individuals suggest a degree of problem-solving and decision-making that goes beyond instinct. Some have been seen studying prey behavior over days, adjusting ambush points, or changing routes to avoid detection. In captivity, jaguars often display boredom with repetitive tasks and a quick mastery of mechanical puzzles. In the wild, this cunning makes them not just strong, but tactically formidable. And still, they are not indiscriminate killers. Unlike many mythologized predators, jaguars do not hunt for pleasure. When they attack, it's usually for food or defense. But humans, unfamiliar with the subtle signs of presence, scratches on a tree, the musky odor of a recent pass, the silence that falls like a curtain, may unknowingly tip the balance. When that happens, the result is often swift and brutal. Emergency responders and locals who have investigated jaguar attacks describe scenes with chilling consistency. Minimal struggle, massive trauma, and signs that the animal retreated just as quietly as it arrived. In conservation zones and native territories, the jaguar remains both respected and feared. For many indigenous cultures, it is a symbol of strength, a guardian of the forest. Its role in the ecosystem is equally critical. It controls herbivore populations, balances food chains, and even affects vegetation patterns indirectly by influencing prey behavior. Removing jaguars from their environment causes trophic cascades that ripple through every level of the rainforest. And yet, their territories are shrinking. Human encroachment, illegal hunting, and deforestation are bringing people and jaguars into closer, more frequent contact. When those worlds collide, it is not the jungle that loses. Not at first. In the immediate moment, the jaguar's claws and jaws are law. It is only later, when tracks fade and wounds are tended, that the larger consequences become clear. The balance has shifted. The hunter, in defending its space, has triggered a new kind of danger, not just for itself, but for all the fragile networks it supports. To walk through the Amazon is to walk in a place where the jaguar still rules, hidden but omnipresent. You may never see it, you may never hear it, but it is there, watching, waiting, and perfectly at home in the silence that follows your passing. In the Amazon rainforest, danger does not always announce itself with roar or charge. Sometimes it waits in absolute stillness, a part of the scenery itself, patient and lethal. The floor of the jungle is a layered world, spongy with decomposing leaves, tangled with roots, covered in detritus from 1,000 fallen branches and fronds. It is a terrain that demands attention with every step. Yet even the most careful traveler may find their gaze fixed upward, wary of jaguars or venomous frogs on tree trunks, while the real threat lies inches from their boot. Coiled among the mulch and moss, camouflaged to the point of invisibility, lies the bushmaster snake, Lachesis muta, one of the largest and deadliest vipers in the world. Unlike its more restless relatives, the bushmaster does not flee from disturbance. It waits. At nearly 3 meters in length, it is a heavy-bodied serpent with skin patterned in jagged tan, brown and black, mimicking the shadows of fallen leaves and sun-dappled soil. The effect is nearly perfect. Many have walked past a bushmaster without realizing it. Others have not been so fortunate. The snake's head, triangular and massive, blends smoothly into its body, the broad scales catching just enough light to disappear rather than reflect. It remains motionless, not out of laziness, but design. As a pit viper, it relies on heat-sensing organs near its nostrils, loreal pits, to detect the body warmth of passing prey. This specialization allows the bushmaster to hunt in the deep darkness of the forest floor, striking rodents, birds and frogs with a burst of speed that seems out of place in such a seemingly sluggish creature. But the same hunting mechanism becomes a liability for humans who unknowingly pass too close. The snake does not distinguish between a raccoon and a leg. Movement, warmth, vibration, these are the cues it trusts. Unlike many venomous snakes that deliver warning displays, rattles, hissing, flattening of the head, the bushmaster tends to remain quiet until provoked. And by the time it acts, it's often too late for the target. It strikes with a speed and force that betray its size, injecting a complex venom designed not only to kill, but to digest. The venom of the bushmaster is hemotoxic and neurotoxic, a cocktail of proteins and enzymes that destroy tissue, disrupt blood clotting, and lower blood pressure to catastrophic levels. Victims experience intense pain at the bite site, followed by swelling, discoloration, and rapid systemic failure. Without prompt treatment, death can occur within hours. In cases where antivenom is delayed or unavailable, permanent damage, loss of limbs, organ failure, neurological dysfunction is common. But what makes the bushmaster especially dangerous is its habitat preference. Unlike many other venomous snakes that dwell in open spaces or visible logs, the bushmaster prefers the shaded, humid silence of old-growth forest and the dense underbrush near streams and fallen trees. These are the same areas often used by humans for campsites, research stations, logging routes, and native footpaths. Many bushmaster bites happen not during pursuit, but during setup. Someone clearing brush, moving firewood, or stepping backward into thick grass. The snake's name itself carries a certain grim weight. Bushmaster evokes an image of regal authority over the undergrowth, and in many ways that image fits. In some regions, it is referred to by indigenous names that translate roughly to silent death or ghost of the forest. There's historical accuracy in that. Accounts from early explorers and modern herpetologists alike describe the eerie suddenness of a bushmaster strike. No sound, no motion, just the blur of muscle and the sickening impact of fangs meeting flesh. Curiously, despite its reputation, the bushmaster is not an aggressive animal. It does not seek out humans, nor does it chase them. In many documented cases, it will remain coiled even after repeated disturbances, preferring its camouflage and the safety of inertia over flight. But this passive nature is exactly what makes it lethal. The bushmaster's reluctance to flee means that the margin for error in an encounter is razor thin. One misplaced footstep can transform a benign walk into a medical emergency in under 10 seconds. There's an additional irony in its defensive behavior. When truly threatened, the bushmaster may vibrate its tail rapidly, a behavior similar to the North American rattlesnake. However, in the dense Amazonian leaf litter, this sound is often muffled, barely perceptible over the chorus of insects and distant howler monkeys. It is a warning easily missed and often delivered too late. In ecological terms, the bushmaster plays a vital role. As a top predator of small mammals, It helps regulate rodent populations, which in turn influences seed dispersal and plant regeneration. It is in many ways a guardian of balance, and yet it remains a victim of misunderstanding. Fear leads to killing, even in areas where the species is endangered. Logging and agriculture continue to encroach on its territory, leading to more human-snake interactions and reinforcing its deadly reputation. Survival after a bushmaster bite depends on several factors: the size of the snake, the depth of the bite, the volume of venom injected, and, most critically, the speed at which medical treatment is received. In urban hospitals, treatment involves intravenous antivenom, fluids to counteract shock, and close monitoring for respiratory failure. But in the Amazon, help is rarely minutes away. It is often hours, if not days. Helicopter evacuations are impractical in dense canopy. River transport is slow and unreliable. Even communication for help, radio, satellite phone, can be delayed by distance or interference. In such conditions, a bite becomes a race not just against death, but against isolation. And then there is the psychological dimension. Survivors of bushmaster envenomation often describe the horror not just of the pain, but of watching their own limbs swell, blacken and shut down, all while aware and conscious. In some cases, sedation becomes necessary not for pain control, but to prevent psychological trauma, panic, hallucinations, and complete physical collapse from stress. Oddly enough, the bushmaster's reproductive habits are one of the few points of intrigue that don't end in danger. Unlike most pit vipers, which give birth to live young, the bushmaster lays eggs, an unusual trait in the viper family. The female remains with the eggs, coiled protectively around them until they hatch. This form of maternal care is rare among snakes and offers a glimpse into the evolutionary divergence that shaped this unique predator. Hatchlings are venomous from birth and already armed with the instincts of ambush, hiding under logs and leaf litter, ready to continue the cycle. Encounters with bushmasters do not inspire awe in the way a jaguar sighting might. There is no majesty to their appearance, no elegance in their movement. They are efficient, mechanical, and absolute in their silence. And perhaps that is the most unsettling thing of all. In the Amazon, where color and sound dominate every moment, the most lethal threat may be the one that makes no noise and offers no hint until it strikes. To step over a bushmaster is not to conquer it. It is simply to remain unnoticed, and in the jungle, that is often the best one can hope for. The surface of the Amazon River tells no secrets. It glides past in heavy, deliberate motion, brown and opaque with silt, reflecting the filtered sky like a tarnished mirror. In some places, where the canopy parts and the sunlight touches the water directly, the illusion of calm becomes almost convincing. Leaves drift lazily along the current, insects skate in concentric ripples, and the hum of jungle life seems to hush at the river's edge, as if respecting some unspoken boundary. But beneath this surface lies a current of tension, not born from the flow itself, but from what lives just beneath. The red-bellied piranha, Pygocentrus naturari, is the Amazon's most misunderstood hunter. Its reputation, both exaggerated and underappreciated, sits somewhere between folklore and fact. Hollywood made it a caricature, painting scenes of boiling water and skeletons in seconds. Yet the truth is far more unsettling because it requires no exaggeration. The piranha does not need myth to be dangerous. It is dangerous because it is real, it is numerous, and it is unpredictable. Piranhas are not lone predators. They are pack feeders, schooling fish that rely on strength in numbers, not just for safety, but for efficiency. Their small, compact bodies are designed for maneuverability rather than power. What they lack in size, most average under a foot in length, they make up for with sheer mechanical design. Their teeth, interlocking like saw blades, are razor-sharp and perfectly evolved for tearing. When one bites, it takes a clean chunk. When 20 bite at once, the effect is surgical, brutal, and horrifyingly fast. Beneath the water, these fish are often calm. During the wet season, when food is abundant and the river swells its banks, piranhas tend to scavenge, content with scraps, insects, or occasional small vertebrates. They avoid larger animals, including humans, and prefer the shelter of submerged roots or overhanging foliage. But the dry season is another matter entirely. As the floodplains retract and water levels drop, pools become crowded and oxygen levels decline. Prey becomes scarce. Competition rises. It is during this time that the piranha's behavior shifts from opportunistic to desperate. When conditions are right, or more accurately wrong, a feeding frenzy can erupt with startling ferocity. The trigger might be the movement of an injured animal, the faint scent of blood in the water, or even vibrations that mimic struggling. In that moment, what appears to be a quiet patch of river transforms. The first bite is almost invisible, a flash of silver, a flicker of tail, then another. Within seconds, 100 fish converge. The water thrashes, froths, and turns red. Bones are left bare, not because the piranha seeks to strip them clean, but because it must feed before the opportunity is gone. In the frenzy, even the predators risk being bitten. There is no coordination, only urgency. Every bite is a contest. Humans, contrary to popular imagination, are not typical targets. Most locals wade into piranha waters daily with no incident, gathering fish, washing clothes, even swimming. The fish are usually shy, scattering at the first sign of large movement. But remove the context of abundance, add heat, desperation, injury, or blood, and the calculation changes. An open wound, a panicked fall, or the thrashing of limbs in a shrinking pool can mimic all the cues that trigger a feeding event. Documented attacks on humans are rare, but not absent. Fishermen have lost fingers reaching into nets. Bathers have emerged with missing flesh from calves or toes. Children have been pulled from shallows with deep, clean cuts, as though carved with a blade. In one case, during an especially dry season, a capsized boat left several people in a shallow oxbow lake known to contain high piranha densities. 2 did not make it back to shore. Autopsies revealed multiple bites, none individually fatal, but collectively overwhelming. Severed arteries, blood loss, panic, and drowning working together in cruel synergy. The danger of piranhas lies not in individual power, but in opportunism and timing. A healthy adult standing in waist-deep water has little to fear under normal conditions. But a bleeding wound, a fall, or even the act of cleaning fish with bare hands near the shore can shift the balance. Blood disperses quickly underwater. Piranhas can detect it in concentrations as low as 1 part per million. Their sense of smell, like that of sharks, is highly acute. But unlike sharks, which tend to inspect before attacking, piranhas operate on impulse. When one bites, others follow, each driven not by malice or strategy, but by competitive instinct. Anatomically, the piranha's bite force is impressive relative to its size. Studies show that the red-bellied species can exert forces of over 70 newtons, more than 30 times their body weight. Their teeth are replaceable, like those of sharks, and are shed and regrown in sets. Evolution has favored a dental design that prioritizes efficiency. Quick bites, minimal resistance, maximum damage. Their jaws are short and blunt, amplifying mechanical advantage, and their muscle arrangement allows for explosive snapping power. Piranhas are not apex predators, however. They are preyed upon by river dolphins, caimans, large catfish, and even birds. Their swarming behavior, in part, is a defense mechanism against these larger threats. A lone piranha stands little chance, but a school is difficult to penetrate. Yet this same behavior, when turned outward, becomes a coordinated chaos that is difficult to survive if one becomes the focus. Within the ecosystem, piranhas are critical scavengers. They clean the river of carrion and accelerate the decomposition cycle. Dead animals do not linger long in Amazonian waters, in part due to these fish. Their presence, though feared, helps prevent the spread of disease and maintains the health of the aquatic system. In that sense, the piranha's violence serves a vital purpose. It is nature's disposal system, swift and thorough. There is also a social structure within schools of piranhas, though it is not hierarchical in the mammalian sense. Individuals respond to environmental stimuli collectively, often feeding based on cues from others. Some species exhibit parental care, guarding nests or patrolling egg-laden zones. These behaviors reveal a complexity often overshadowed by their bloody reputation. To see them solely as killers is to ignore their role as parents, scavengers, and prey. In truth, the greatest threat posed by piranhas comes not from their teeth, but from misunderstanding. Tourists often approach the river with either dismissive confidence or irrational fear. Both attitudes are dangerous. Feeding fish for entertainment, especially with meat or blood, can condition aggressive behavior. Wading into unknown waters during droughts or near fish cleaning stations invites disaster. Proper awareness and respect can prevent nearly all incidents, yet the myth persists, and with it, the occasional tragedy. The Amazon does not forgive naivety, and the piranha is one of its more vivid reminders. It offers no warnings, no display, no growl in the dark. It waits beneath the surface, among the reeds and roots, still as the river itself, and when it moves, it does so without hesitation. Those who know the jungle learn quickly where to place their feet, where to kneel, where to bleed. A single drop of blood in the wrong place can summon 100 mouths in moments. The piranha does not think, it reacts. In its world, survival is not a matter of size, but of speed and timing. And when that calculus turns against you, there is no time to reason, only to react, if you can. When night falls in the Amazon, the jungle does not quiet down. It reshapes itself. The birds retreat into foliage, their calls replaced by the rhythmic chirring of katydids and the shrill pulses of frogs. Shadows deepen into black, and the once familiar becomes unreadable. Beneath this canopy of sound and darkness, something ancient stirs. It does not prowl like the jaguar, nor stalk like the anaconda. It creeps, hugging bark and stone, slipping between leaf litter and loose soil with unsettling speed. Where most predators in the rainforest hunt with muscle or fang, this one hunts with legs, dozens of them. The Amazonian giant centipede, Scolopendra gigantea, is a predator built for corners. Measuring over 30 centimeters in length, with a body segmented like plated armor and a slick exoskeleton that glistens under a headlamp, it moves with unnerving fluidity. Each segment supports a pair of jointed legs that undulate in coordinated succession, giving the creature the illusion of flowing forward like a ribbon of hardened muscle. Its front pair, known as forcipules, have evolved into venom-injecting pincers, not jaws, but modified limbs, a trait that sets centipedes apart from nearly every other venomous predator in the forest. Scolopendra is strictly nocturnal. During the day, it hides beneath rotting logs, inside termite nests, or wedged into crevices in tree trunks. But when the light fades, it becomes active, navigating the forest floor and lower canopy with startling confidence. Unlike many invertebrates that rely on passive ambush or chemical trails, this centipede is a visual hunter. Though it does not see in sharp detail, it detects motion and temperature with a specialized array of antennae and sensory hairs. Once prey is located, A bat roosting low, a frog clinging to a branch, or even a small snake, it strikes fast, coiling around the target and injecting venom that paralyzes before digestion begins. It is one of the few terrestrial invertebrates capable of subduing vertebrate prey larger than itself. This feat alone puts it in a unique ecological niche. While most arthropods retreat when challenged, Scolopendra confronts. Its confidence is not misplaced. The venom it delivers is a cocktail of enzymes, peptides, and neurotoxins designed to immobilize quickly and break down tissue from within. In small mammals and reptiles, the effect is rapid: muscle spasms, paralysis, organ shutdown. In humans, it is not typically fatal, but the pain is immediate and severe. The bite begins with a sharp puncture, 2 deep pricks like thick hypodermic needles piercing the skin. Within moments, the area swells, radiating heat. Victims describe the pain as deep, as though the burning sensation sinks past the skin into muscle and bone. The site may redden and blister, often expanding in diameter over several hours. In more severe reactions, fever, dizziness, and nausea follow, sometimes accompanied by systemic allergic symptoms. Rare cases have led to secondary infections or even anaphylaxis in sensitive individuals. It is not the kind of pain that subsides with time. It lingers, sometimes for days, and can interfere with sleep, mobility, and coordination. Yet the bite itself is only half the threat. The centipede's danger lies just as much in its behavior as in its biology. It is invasive, not in the ecological sense, but in its physical intrusion. Known for entering tents, shoes, backpacks, and sleeping bags, Scolopendra's preference for dark, warm, enclosed spaces puts it on a collision course with human activity. Campers who leave their gear unzipped or unshaken may find themselves face to face with this unwelcome guest in the dead of night. The result is often a chaotic scramble, half pain, half panic, as the centipede thrashes to escape and the human attempts to flee from something they cannot even see clearly. In these close quarters, secondary injuries become common. A sudden bite in the dark can cause a person to tumble off a hammock, gash themselves on equipment, or run blindly into sharp branches or thorny underbrush. The jungle is not forgiving of disoriented movement. Medical attention for a centipede bite is rarely urgent in terms of life-threatening symptoms, but the combination of pain, potential infection, and trauma can severely compromise the safety of anyone caught unprepared. Interestingly, despite its fearsome appearance and reputation, Scolopendra gigantea plays a critical role in the Amazonian food web. It controls populations of insects, spiders, and small amphibians, acting as a regulator of biodiversity at the ground level. Its predation on roosting bats, an unusual behavior captured on camera in Venezuelan caves, demonstrates a level of behavioral complexity rarely associated with invertebrates. The centipede positions itself near known roosts, times its strikes to coincide with minimal movement, and uses its body like a constricting loop to secure prey mid-air. That it does this with no bones, no vocalization, and minimal vision speaks volumes about the efficiency of evolution under pressure. The centipede itself is not without threats. Birds, mammals, and larger reptiles occasionally prey on them, though with caution. Their speed, venom, and ability to cling to vertical and inverted surfaces make them difficult to subdue. When cornered, Scolopendra can lift its head and tail simultaneously, forming a defensive arch, and may lash out with both ends. It can also autotomize, detach a leg or tail segment to escape, though this is a last resort, as regeneration takes energy and time. Field biologists studying rainforest invertebrates often speak of an instinctive wariness around Scolopendra. Not fear in the traditional sense, but a kind of professional respect. an acknowledgement that this creature is not to be handled casually or underestimated. Collection and study require gloves, forceps, and strict containment protocols. Even in controlled environments, centipedes have been known to escape enclosures, scale walls, and disappear into crevices for days. Their strength is surprising for their size, their resilience unmatched. For the traveler in the Amazon, understanding the threat means more than simply avoiding bites. It means adjusting habits, shaking out boots each morning, sealing tents at night, avoiding sleeping directly on the ground. It means recognizing that some threats do not roar, hiss, or loom. Some creep in with the quiet of dusk, hidden beneath the comfort of fabric or the curve of a sleeping bag. Unlike jaguars or venomous snakes, which symbolize the wild majesty of the rainforest, the giant centipede represents something more intimate, an intrusion into personal space, a violation of assumed safety. It's not the danger of being hunted, but the unsettling possibility of being touched, pierced, and poisoned before you're even fully awake. That's the terror it brings. Not overwhelming power, but unavoidable proximity. The rainforest is full of spectacle, colors, calls, and colossal trees that stretch into eternity. But beneath it all, down in the layers of rot and root, creatures like Scolopendra go about their work with mechanical efficiency. They are not here to shock or frighten. They simply exist, perfectly suited to a world that rewards stealth and speed more than beauty or scale. And while a centipede may not kill you, it can make you wish it had. The pain, the panic, the creeping sense that you are not in control, these are its weapons. And in the Amazon, that is often enough. In the saturated silence of the morning rainforest, long before the canopy opens to full light, droplets still cling to every surface. Fern fronds, exposed roots, the undersides of vines sagging from the trees above. Sunlight filters in thin shafts through a dense green ceiling, touching the forest floor in golden pools. The air is thick and wet, humming faintly with insects. A few meters off the ground, perched motionless on the broad leaf of a bromeliad, sits one of the most striking creatures in the Amazon basin. A frog so vivid it seems painted. Its skin gleams with electric hues, turquoise, crimson, lemon yellow, each color impossibly saturated, as if the animal were a living warning sign, which in effect it is. The poison dart frog belongs to the family Dendrobatidae, a group of small amphibians that have evolved a form of chemical defense so potent, so specific, that it has altered not just their ecological interactions, but entire human cultures. Some species are no larger than a paperclip, but within their skin lies batrachotoxin, a steroidal alkaloid so powerful that it can cause death in mammals by disrupting the sodium channels of nerve cells, effectively short-circuiting the body's ability to transmit signals, including those responsible for muscle contraction. The result is paralysis, then asphyxiation or heart failure. There is no cure, no antidote. Once the process begins, it is irreversible. And yet the frog does not attack. It does not bite. It does not leap upon prey with venomous fangs or inject toxin through barbs. The danger it poses is passive, but no less lethal for its subtlety. Touching the skin of certain species, especially those in the Philobates genus, is enough to begin absorption through tiny abrasions, mucous membranes, or even prolonged skin contact under the right conditions. A hunter wiping sweat from his brow after handling one barehanded might feel his chest tighten within minutes. A child, fascinated by its color, might simply pick it up. Neither would understand the mistake until it was too late. Their coloration, known as aposematism, is one of nature's most direct communications. I am toxic. Do not eat me. In the complex theater of predator and prey, this visual message is more efficient than fangs or claws. Many species have evolved similar tactics. Coral snakes, monarch butterflies, but none embody it quite like the poison dart frog. In the Amazon, their colors are not just warnings but declarations, signals of chemical warfare built into biology. What's particularly fascinating and unsettling is that the frogs are not born toxic. Captive-bred poison dart frogs, raised on fruit flies and springtails, are harmless. The deadly batrachotoxins found in wild specimens are not manufactured by the frog's own body, but are bioaccumulated from their diet, primarily small beetles and ants rich in alkaloid compounds. The frogs metabolize these chemicals and sequester them in their skin glands. It's a system so precise that even the species of prey consumed affects the type and potency of the toxin. Essentially, the rainforest itself creates the frog's weaponry, filtered through layers of insect interaction and evolutionary fine-tuning. This ecological chain creates a chilling irony. The frog is only as dangerous as the forest that feeds it. Remove it from the wild, and the toxicity fades over generations. Return it, and the process restarts. An elegant but deadly feedback loop between organism and ecosystem. It also means that the most toxic individuals are found in undisturbed forest habitats where chemical-rich insects are abundant. This proximity of danger to the most pristine environments presents its own set of risks for those exploring the deeper, untouched reaches of the jungle. The common name, poison dart frog, is derived from the indigenous use of Philobates terribilis in the Choco region of Colombia, where hunters would carefully rub their blowgun darts against the frog's back to coat them in toxin. The process was ritualized, done with precision and never casual. The frog was captured with woven leaves or wood tools, kept alive only long enough to yield its poison, and then released or discarded. The dart tips thus treated could remain lethal for over a year. The frogs themselves were not harmed. They didn't need to be. A single contact was enough. Yet not all members of this frog family are equally dangerous. Some species, like Dendrobates tinctorius, are brightly colored but only mildly toxic, posing little threat unless consumed in large quantities. This inconsistency adds to the confusion and danger. Two frogs may look nearly identical to the untrained eye, yet one could kill a human in minutes, while the other might barely irritate the skin. Field identification becomes a life-preserving skill, especially for researchers, photographers, or curious trekkers inclined to appreciate the Amazon's color from too close a distance. The frog's behavior does not mirror its lethal capability. It moves slowly, hopping short distances with deliberate motions, often pausing to sit in full view. It does not flee at the first sign of movement. It does not hide. It doesn't need to. Its confidence is not arrogance. It is evolutionary assurance. Few animals in the Amazon will attempt to eat a poison dart frog more than once. Those that do often die. A handful of predators like the fire-bellied snake Leophis epinephalus appear immune, but such exceptions only reinforce the frog's place atop a strange kind of ecological hierarchy, the untouchable. Even so, the frog's presence in the Amazon represents a broader biological truth, that toxicity and beauty often share space. In a forest that rewards both camouflage and spectacle, the poison dart frog stands apart. It does not try to blend in. It advertises, and by doing so, survives. For humans, the real risk lies not in deliberate handling, but in ignorance. These frogs are small, silent, and occasionally curious. They have been known to enter open structures, cling to wet gear, or settle in boots left outside during rain. An accidental touch, especially by someone with a cut or abrasion, can be enough to trigger absorption. The risk increases for children or those unfamiliar with the warning signs of aposematic coloring. In a region where color often equals signal, to mistake beauty for innocence is a dangerous miscalculation. What makes the poison dart frog especially fascinating, aside from its chemical defenses, is its role as a keystone of pharmacological research. The study of batrachotoxins has led to insights into nerve function, potential anesthetics, and even models for synthetic painkillers. But the same compound that might one day help manage chronic pain is the one that now, unrefined and raw, can stop a human heart in under 15 minutes. It is the double-edged nature of life in the rainforest. Every cure is also a threat, every bright signal a warning. In many ways, the frog's danger is more existential than predatory. It challenges the assumption that threat must be loud, large, or overt. It reminds us that the most dangerous elements of nature are not always the ones that chase you, but the ones you invite unknowingly into your space. And unlike jaguars or venomous snakes, which most people instinctively fear, the poison dart frog lures attention. It is photographed, admired, pointed out with excitement. That allure is part of the danger. To walk through the Amazon with open eyes is to understand that survival depends not just on strength or speed, but on discernment. Color in this world is not decoration, it is declaration. And the poison dart frog, perched like a gemstone on a mossy log, does not ask to be touched, only to be understood. Those who ignore that lesson do so at their own peril. At first glance, the Amazon seems like a paradise untouched, an emerald sprawl of life teeming in all directions, where moss clings thick to bark, and orchids bloom like whispers from the canopy. Light filters down in gauzy columns, interrupted by the slow sway of lianas and the movement of unseen wings. But for all its majesty, this is no sanctuary. It is a theater of constant motion, tension, and survival. For those who walk its paths, swim its waters, or sleep beneath its trees, the margin between admiration and consequence is razor thin. Here, beauty often masks lethality, and the most remarkable creatures are not necessarily those that roar, but those that wait, that strike unseen, that kill without ever making a sound. The jaguar is the first to remind us of this. Though rarely seen, its presence is felt like a pressure in the air, especially in the dense interior where human trails dissolve into animal corridors. It moves through the forest like an echo, barely disturbing a leaf. Apex predators elsewhere may rely on speed or endurance, but the jaguar is a master of force applied in stillness. Its killing blow is unlike that of any other big cat. A single bite through the skull, honed not through brutality, but through anatomical specialization. Yet it does not kill wantonly. The jaguar's lethality is deliberate, measured, and territorial. To encounter one is not to witness aggression, but to trespass into precision, an apex role maintained not through chaos, but control. Just meters beneath the forest floor, danger coils in another form entirely. The bushmaster snake, a viper of daunting length and deceptive patience, does not chase or announce itself. It waits. Camouflaged among the detritus of rotting leaves and fallen fruit, it becomes part of the forest's silence. Its venom is not a warning, but a biological weapon that disrupts the circulatory system, ruptures vessels, and induces hemorrhage. To step near one is not a guaranteed death, but it is a risk that compounds instantly with location. Far from medical help, a single bite becomes a matter of logistics as much as biology. You may feel the pain first, but the clock is the real predator. In the waters that crisscross the jungle like veins, another form of menace stirs. The red-bellied piranha is neither the mindless monster of myth nor an animal that can be casually dismissed. It is a predator shaped by scarcity and season, often shy, sometimes skittish, but under the right conditions, transformed into a living scalpel swarm. Their teeth are not just sharp, but geometric tools designed for tearing, shearing, and stripping flesh with maximum efficiency. When food is scarce, when water levels drop and the river narrows into a desperate channel, these fish become a force of nature. To bleed into their world is to activate an algorithm of hunger where each bite fuels the next, not through design, but evolutionary urgency. The frenzy is not evil. It is strategy, stripped of mercy. Back on land, or more precisely, underfoot and occasionally overhead, the rainforest's arthropod realm reveals a different mode of predation. The giant centipede, Scolopendra gigantea, is not large by vertebrate standards, but its presence carries the unease of something out of scale. With its coordinated cascade of legs and venom-laced forcipules, it moves between the boundaries of what we expect to fear. It kills with a blend of constriction and chemistry, subduing prey larger than itself in silent ambushes, even pulling bats from their roosts. But its most troubling trait is its intrusion. It doesn't stay out of reach. It crawls into bedding, into gear, into the unconscious spaces we deem safe. When it bites, the pain is profound, spreading, hot, mechanical. It's not life-threatening for most, but it doesn't need to be. It disables, disturbs, and disorients. And in the dark, even a minor panic can cascade into injury, exposure, or worse. Then, high in the moist air or settled on a low-lying leaf, the rainforest presents one of its most deceptive forms of danger. The poison dart frog, resplendent in its impossible hues, stands in stark contrast to the gloom of the underbrush. Its color seems celebratory, a flash of carnival in a world of camouflage. But this brightness is not invitation, it is deterrence. Its skin is saturated with batrachotoxin, a molecule that interferes with nerve transmission at the most fundamental level. No swelling, no visible wound, just a progressive shutdown of the body's communication system, sometimes culminating in death within minutes. It does not bite. It does not chase. It merely exists, its danger embedded passively in its biology. This makes it all the more insidious. The more alluring the animal, the more likely one is to approach it without caution. And yet a single touch, especially through broken skin or mucous membranes, can begin a process no medicine can reverse. Taken together, these 5 species, jaguar, bushmaster, piranha, centipede, and poison dart frog, form a portrait not of monstrosity, but of ecological precision. Each occupies a niche where its threat serves a purpose. They control populations, enforce boundaries, and participate in the relentless refinement of life. None are evil, none are cruel, but all are unforgiving to the unprepared. Camouflage, unpredictability, and chemical warfare define the rules here. It is not merely a question of where danger is, but how it chooses to reveal itself, if at all. In some cases, the threat is movement through shadow. In others, it is silence. It might be found in a splash of color or in the absence of motion. Danger is not linear. It exists in gradients, in scale, intent, and accessibility. It hides in shoes, swims in murky water, coils under leaves, and occasionally stares back with golden eyes from a perch above a trail. What the Amazon teaches above all is the failure of assumptions. That big equals slow, or that small means harmless. That color invites touch, or that silence is peace. It offers constant reminders that survival in this biome is not about conquest, but comprehension. Those who endure do so by reading the signs, subtle shifts in behavior, patterns of light and noise, the sudden hush of birds that were singing moments before. The dangers of the Amazon are real, but they are also essential. They are woven into the function of a living system that depends on tension to thrive. Each predator, parasite, and poison exists not in isolation, but as part of a network, a system of checks and balances where fragility and force exist side by side. For the outsider, respect is the most valuable tool. Not fear, not bravado, not mastery. Just the willingness to recognize that this is not a place that tolerates negligence. The jungle does not punish, it responds. It offers beauty with risk, complexity without explanation, and moments of awe that arrive hand in hand with moments of peril. To walk its paths is to accept this contract, not to conquer, but to witness, not to tame, but to understand that survival here is less about strength and more about humility. In the Amazon, everything that lives does so by knowing its place. And for those who enter it, knowing your place may be the only thing that keeps you alive.